everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here at Bish's RV, chilling in Twin Falls today. I say chilling because the temperatures are about single digits. Thankfully, I'm inside where it's warm. When you have no hair like mine, that is something that you really appreciate. Today we're looking at the 320 MKS Reflection by Grand Design. This is a really interesting alternative to something like the 337. The 337 is that very typical floor plan everybody makes, where it's got opposing slides, the windows are all on the door side, it's got, you know, your bedroom and bathroom upstairs, and it's great, there's nothing wrong with that. But that idea doesn't necessarily work for everybody, and that's kind of why I like having this one here. It's almost like everything the 337 is not. And what I mean by that, it's like, yeah, the windows are on the passenger side, which I actually think they're on the driver's side, which I think a lot of people may not be the most excited about, but at the same time, not everybody cares. Not everybody cares about that. When you do what they've done with this layout, what it can create is something that's very hard to find in RVs, and that is a desk space. This is one of the very few things, other than like some kind of bunkhouse or mid-bunk or middle den or whatever stupid phrase the RV wants to apply to it on a given day. I don't filter myself very well, obviously, as you can see. One of these days, if suddenly I'm not the channel host anymore, you're gonna notice because my mouth got me fired. Anybody else? Anyway, but it's one of the only models I've seen like this that doesn't require, you could make this a desk area. It just has a desk. They've got the hot cold camping package, automatic leveling, factory standard solar that it can be expanded to a very solid capacity. This model may not be for everybody, but I'm really interested to hear what you think about it. I'm going to point out a couple things I liked, a couple things where I think maybe they might have slipped, and apparently I'm spraying it while I'm saying it today. Apologies there. I'm sure you don't appreciate that, but if you appreciate the fair look that we give you at things, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's get going.
Like I said, this is different. This won't be for everyone, but I don't know, man. I think that there's some serious value and benefit. Like, not everybody, a lot of people camp where it's just screaming hot all the time, and you always have the shades drawn. This might be an amazing floor plan for you for something like that. If you hang with me, I think it's pretty obvious the fact that the refrigerator is buried on the rear wall. The travel accessibility on this will be limited. This, to me, is an amazing, destination use model. It's a kind of RV where when you're going to get there and you're going to set up shop for a while, this is something you're going to love. The color palette here just feels very rich and classy, and I hope you like it because I don't believe there's an alternative available right now. That tends to be, Grand Design kind of has one look typically that they'll stick with for a couple years. They'll update it and freshen it up after a couple years, you know. They're always staying on trends, but they pick one look and that's what they run with. Now that consistency also helps them with a lot of cost control and build production things. So it all kind of links together. Now carpetless in the slides, which is fantastic. That's a recent update. And I really like the way that they have it very clean. You have to really look to see the transition flap to know where you're leaving the main floor and entering the slide. And have you noticed there's no vents in the floor of these? So again, if you're someone who's like, I don't like, worrying about gunk getting down into my my vents, this will be a good option for you here. Now, they do a half booth, half table. What do we call this? I tell you what, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Let's make a new nerdism. What do we call this setup right here? Because if you notice, that one side is a bench that floats away, and the rear bench cushion actually brackets onto the wall, which is cool. So it slides off and on very easily, but you can get it out of the way if you want to. Plus, you've got the pair of fold-away chairs right here. And if you do want the windows open, look at how that is. I mean, you want to talk maximized. It goes down below the table. But again, to me, the signature calling card of this floor plan is this baby right here, is that desk space. And you can use one of the two dining chairs very easily as your desk chair, or you could have a dedicated, more purpose intent kind of chair right here. We're going to get all this open in just a second, but it doesn't feel like you're just shoved in a corner. With those windows there, you've got desk drawers down below, you've got some cabinet storage, but it could be an expansion of your kitchen, or it could legit be a little mobile office space. If there's only one person, if you're looking for a little rolling mobile executive suite, I feel like this one's gonna nail it. Now, real quick though, Sitting down here straight across on Boardwalk and Park Place at the entertainment center, you can see my shiny balding head in the reflection there. A reflection in a reflection. Classic. So stupid. Let's talk about the entry door window. They do a frosty glass window so that you get light but maintain privacy. I'm cool with that. If you wanted a full glass viewing window, that is something that you can do also. The television is a TCL Roku TV, meaning a smart TV. And if I'm just being picky, I think just because I get such a ritzy glitzy feel out of most of this, it feels like the TV could be just a little bit bigger and it would feel very appropriate in this RV. You know what I mean? And that is on a swing arm. So if you want to pivot over toward the sofa. So first of all, just sitting at the sofa isn't that bad. But again, it pivots around for easier viewing. And once again, you get to see the shiny reflection off my forehead. Thank you, male pattern baldness. Let's crack the kitchen, shall we? The kitchen and the entertainment center, actually. Dinnertainment center. There we go. This has a dinnertainment super slide. Oh, this is neat. If you want to add like a little satellite brain, they include some household outlets in there and a handy little feed spot where you could run the cable down through the wall. That's a nice little thing. Jaco does actually run the cable, which is kind of cool, but not everybody cares. So I don't fault Grand Design for not doing that. Did you notice how there's a motion activated light in that pantry? There's a lot of those in there. And if you do happen to be hearing a little bit of a Tinkerbell magic jingling every now and then, that's because I've left the 12-volt giant 16 cubic foot, I think, Furrion compressor fridge over here open. And it's like, yo, I'm not working now. Wow, that motion light picked me up all the way over here. Holy crap. Good countertop space here. Respective criticism. Really wish we had a side splash against the side of the slide out there, but it seems like almost no manufacturer ever does that. And again, a good look at that big 12-volt compressor fridge on this thing, man. That is so awesome. Up top, we have one of the big MaxxAir vent fans that sucks the hair off your head and gets all the heat and smells from cooking out of the RV much more effectively. And then, down below, like the Caribbean, we have an island. Solid surface here, and I've seen, I have to figure out, I'm sorry I don't know this at the time of this recording. I've seen some recent reflections that have a double basin sink, and I've seen some that have a farm sink. So they've obviously made a change at one point. At the time of this filming, I'm not sure which one they've gone with. I am a little bit newer to covering these, so apologies there. I will try to get some clarity on that for you. Notice how the drawers are a little bit bigger in here, and down in there, in case you're curious, what is that white box? That is your TPMS. When we go outside, I think I'll show you a point where it's like prepped in for that, but you just plug it in, and I've actually synced up one of those. It's not terribly hard with no instructions. I managed. Speaking of instructions and directions, I've noticed, I don't know why, and I didn't know why. I finally figured out why. When my wife makes food, it tastes better than when I make food. And I figured out why. She uses a secret ingredient called directions. And I don't. I'm just like, preheat the oven. Well, it's gonna get hot eventually, right? Just put it in there. Blowing everything open, still flipping around the other way. See right there, we've got that wall-hugging theater seat. Doesn't lay totally flat. The far seat is reclined to the maximum capacity, but it is very naptastic friendly. Solid storage space up there. And there's a pocket at the bottom of that overhead cabinet that does not have a door. It's actually like a little charging station. There's like a set of outlets in there. And, you know, it's primarily a 1 or 2 person kind of rig, but we do have a decent guest capacity right there thanks to that, I'm going to call that like a 2-seater hide bed. And it occurs to me, you haven't seen a look from this direction without everything blown wide open. Now, naturally, I've got that giant, like, Swan Lake sink faucet in my head. You get a nice look at my my pants today. Good for you guys. Again, TV from the theater seat is straight across, but that is a double-jointed swing arm, as it were. So if you want to watch TV from the dining area, or If you want to kind of split the difference and have a little bit of a conversation corner between the two sofas, you could do that too. Just whatever works for you guys. Now, something I've really noticed, and a lot of manufacturers have done this, is they've done some very consistent things in their production and design. You know, like reusing the same upper deck wherever they can. One of the things, personally, if it was me, I would be upgrading that vent fan right there versus the conventional 4-inch fart fan, technical term, mind you. You may have noticed how that is a one-piece molded shower enclosure. Thankfully, even at my height at about 6'3"-ish, you got some decent headroom up in here, which I thought was awful nice. Plus, there's a little corner seat over there. There's both normal ceiling lighting as well as motion lighting that you could, like all the other motion lights, turn off, turn on, do whatever you would like to do. Now, the storage in this bathroom, I think, is executed very well. First of all, that little bar right there is good for keeping some towels and stuff from tumbling out. But down below, you know, so you have normal, like, cabinet door space, and then, like, a toilet paper cubby pocket down beside that. The countertop in here is a sealed edge pressed membrane, and you see some very solid drawer space all the way down. Something else that you see, and I'm trying to go slow not to make you motion sick, because I know when I point more downward, that gets a little, like, you know. Hopefully you're not a sympathetic, idiot, sympathetic vomiter, and that sound doesn't make you gag. But leg room, arm room, hips, shoulders. As one of our viewers said, people like me with a bazooka butt, can I fit in there? I think you're going to fit in here pretty well. There is, I think, a nice pocket off to the side of this also that would be really, really well suited for a little wastebasket. And again, like I said, little toilet paper cubby right there. Now up front here in the bedroom, I've recorded a few reflections now. We've had different configurations in the bedrooms of all of them in terms of the optional equipment, and I'm really glad that we get a chance to kind of show that off here so that you don't think everything's the same. For instance, these are 50 amp standard. Along with that, you have the ability to add from the factory a second air conditioner. Now, we don't necessarily do that 100% across the board because some people camp differently. That is something that we do very commonly. And if it does only have a single air from the factory, we can always add that. Giving you a look here around all the storage space. That front closet is a very cool thing Reflection does, where they give us a, first of all, it's just freaking deep. It's just really deep and has some awesome storage capacity in there. Secondly, it is prepped for either a combo or a side-by-side washer and dryer. I'm not going to call it a walk-in closet, but man, she's darn close. It is interesting to me to see carpet in the bedroom, but not everywhere else. But at the same time, I don't dislike that. When I get out of bed, I really hate my feet hitting cold stuff. It feels like knives in your feet. And this is one of the only spots in the entire RV you will see a heat vent in the floor, just because there's just no other way to really effectively duct the heat up here. So that's kind of a necessary evil. You saw the storage below the bed. Here we're looking at the 60 by 80 True Queen, but no, you do have the option of getting a 70 by 80 king bed in here. You will lose those side stands. You'll lose a little bit of walk around space. You get a bigger bed where if you're like me and you got a little lap dog that somehow takes up 47% of the bed, or 37% would maybe be a little bit more on brand for me. You get the idea. He takes up a lot of the bed. There are household outlets beside, like down low beside both sides of the bed. Over here, there are also some USB plugs where you see that little green light right there. And I touched on this in the kitchen earlier, and I hope you appreciate the fact that we take the time to showcase sometimes even where a floor plan may not be awesome. Again, I think this is an amazing destination use camper, but for traveling, you can get to the bedroom and the bathroom from that hallway where I just came from, but everything else down in the kitchen, unfortunately, is lost. If you like the way that we showcase this, even when it's not complimentary and good for the RV, make sure you hit that like button on our video and subscribe, knowing that we will always treat you fair and shoot you straight.
So normally I like to start up front on these things, but we're actually going to begin taking a little mosey back here. And one of the first things I want to point out is this is a double awning model. Normally that would be pretty obvious, but when we only have one of the two awnings open, it isn't quite as readily apparent. The other thing is, again, this is like an evil twin as compared to the 337 RLS Grand Design Reflection. And what I kind of mean by that are things like this. So sure, it doesn't have like amazing door side window coverage. Absolutely acknowledge that. Let's get that right out of the way. But what it is bringing us is the function of an outdoor kitchen and or entertainment center, again under that second awning. But before I miss it, a couple things to point out on the back here. We have ourselves a 3,000-pound factory towing hitch with safety chain hooks and 4-way wiring harness. Also, this one's kind of interesting. They have a cold water sprayer port off the back over here, which I thought was a little, I haven't quite figured that one out. All LED tail and marker lights, and a backup camera right there from the factory, which is kind of nice, giving you an awesome view as to what's behind you. And it's easy to miss because it's up so high, but again, it does have a stovetop like vent hood. You see it in the upper left corner of the slide there, letting that heat exhaust out. Slam latches, magnet holdbacks, but remember, slam latches doesn't mean you have to kablam that sucker. And since we have ourselves a little cooker outside, that means naturally we have ourselves a propane cooker hooker over here. Spare tire location, by the way, here in the underbelly of these, kind of keeps it away from sun damage and whatnot. Admittedly though, and this is where I like to give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything between. If you need to get it, you are kind of crawling under there to get it. It's not awesome, but at the same time, it does mean that we're not eating up storage space. So it's, I mean, no matter what you do, there's always a give and a take. Enclosed underbelly, forced air heated, radiant barrier, and recently added to these 12-volt thermostatic tank heaters on all the holding tanks. I believe standard now, actually, which is kind of nice. Little mini fridge outside. I call that Dad's medicine cabinet for the barley water and the bottled pop, as it were. And little outdoor entertainment center. But look at this. Even this little guy is a TCL Roku Smart TV, just like we saw indoors. Even the TV outside is a smart TV. You know what I would use that for? I'd have that hooked up to, I'd have like the Pandora or the Spotify app or something like that. I'd just be listening to music outside. Now, on that note, again, I'll tell you things I like, I'll tell you things I don't, so you know I'm being fair. I really do not like where they put the outside speakers on these all the way up high under that awning like that. I really, really wish those were mounted down in the skirting or just down lower, like at the level of one's chesticles, as it were. It just, ugh. Now, something else I noticed, because if I see things, I say things, the little piece of trim that holds that wire in place apparently popped out when somebody opened the awning this morning. We've located that. That's been noted. We'll get that taken care of. But, you know, if I see something, I don't mind saying something. Again, we have that double power awning. I don't know how long each of those are. Hopefully, I thought to record that information and put that in my little specs chart at the start of the video. But me and thinking, we ain't always the best of friends. It's easy to miss here because, like, you see this big passenger compartment, you're like, oh, cool, sweet. There's motion-activated lighting on both sides. Absolute applause due to Grand Design for putting the disconnect up here where cargo's not going to smash it. But what's easy to miss is around the corner over here, there's actually just like an extra little pocket. They didn't want to waste that space. I wish I wasn't inside, and I wish these things weren't packed together so I could show you the nose. But again, it is much, much warmer in here. This has such an amazing, like when you look in the rearview mirror, oh, it looks cool behind you. Now up front here, it's fairly plain, but a couple things you see is how this is prepped for an inverter. They kind of give you the spot where if you want to run the wiring, they show you right where that goes. And this also includes a 50 amp MPPT charge controller. And if you're not familiar with what that means, basically, that is a hefty, high-efficiency charge controller that if you wanted to expand the solar package that you're going to see on this to some pretty extreme degrees, you most definitely could. Now, another look at the basement from the other direction here. What's interesting is, remember when we were inside, there was a physical switch panel for all of the controls. Like our awning, our lights, all that stuff was inside. They give us a digital panel outside, which I get that it seems a little bit weird, but at the same time, it's not hurting anything, and you still always have the option of doing that off your phone if you want to. So they give you 3 places to control this RV, Something that I kind of thought about, I hope nothing ever fails, but if it does, you now have 3 options of being able to control something in case one or the other ends up not working. By the way, that is the little prep point where your tire pressure monitor system would be located. That is another one of those motion sensitive lights right there. Docking center's all enclosed and protected. We talked about the underbelly. We haven't talked though, well, I guess we did a little bit in the bathroom, but the Furrion on-demand water heater. Basically, as long as you got propane and you got 12 volt, folks, you got hot water. Now, up here on the roof, not only, are they using a white roof skin, but there's also a radiant barrier through the entire roof line. That actually wraps down through the nose. Then in the nose, they have a second layer of insulation, like batten insulation up there, to help fill that air gap to keep it more comfortable in your bedroom. Then the radiant barrier material goes down under the gooseneck of the fifth wheel and all the way across the underbelly. So, you've got like a wrap almost all the way around this thing. If I'm being picky, if I'm being critical, telling you the things I like and I don't, I like all the radiant barrier work. I personally dislike the black shrouds on the air conditioners. I like how Cougar went to a white shroud, and Reflection's not the only one to do this. The reason is, if the sun's beating on this thing, it's going to soak up a little more thermal radiation. It's going to make the air conditioner work a little bit harder. If I want it cold in the RV, I want it cold in the RV. Now, the black shrouds visibly look really cool from the ground level. It's just a personal thing. What are your thoughts on that? White versus black shrouds? Let me know your preference and why. Also, you see that 165 watt roof solar panel up here, a very solid battery tender, and frankly with a panel like that, if you just want to run some lights and some fans, you weren't worried about running a whole lot of anything else, like that'll keep up pretty good. Remember though, that big 12 volt fridge will tax the batteries if you're boondocking. And things like that, telling you, again, the real deal of Vander Holyfield here, like someone's gonna ask, how long will my batteries last with that big fridge if I'm boondocking? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I'm not sure I could have the answer for that because there's so many different environmental factors, different batteries. There's just different scenarios that go into place, you know what I mean? I would rather tell you, I don't know, so that, the two of us can kind of work on finding that out together. If that's something you're curious about, that's one of those conversations we have to get to know you. You call one of our outfitters. We will, ask you a couple questions about like how you camp, where you're going to be, what the sun coverage, are you going to be in the woods? I've literally had a customer call screaming at me because their solar package wasn't working on their fifth wheel. Well, it turns out their fifth wheel was parked inside of a barn. Yeah, it's not going to work in there, but not everybody understands that. Solar and boondocking and stuff is so different situational person to person. If that's a question you have, please call our team. Please give us a chance to meet you. Because, we need to sit down and have 2 cups of coffee to get to really understand how much solar, how many batteries, all that stuff you might need. Thankfully, this RV is set with that big controller. If you wanted to expand in that capacity, if you want to add a pretty hefty inverter to run some outlets, there's a lot of things that you could do with this. So once again, thank you very much for joining us again today. Best wishes from Bishes as always. Again, any feedback you have, good, bad, ugly, or otherwise, tell me your favorite thing and tell me your least favorite thing. You tell me both of those. I've already kind of done that for you, and I'd like to hear from you guys as well. Or gals, or hot pockets, as you identify, as my friend Mr. Samuel J. Martin. I always want to call him Samuel L. Martin, a regular viewer, probably because of Samuel L. Jackson. But I suppose you could be compared to worse, Sam. But I'm rambling. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to catch us the next time. Who knows what we'll be bringing you next? I don't know yet. I just know I can't wait to see what's around the corner. This has been so fun getting my hands on all these new things. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.